Okay, when you want to make a computer manager, click on your team. At the top where it says team, click team and go down to computer manager. So this opens up the box where you do all the work in. On the left side is the lineup, so you're going to want to check the games missed list, at least for your team, if not for the team you're about to play too. And make sure anybody who's scheduled to miss a particular game is unchecked. So this, as you go through the season, you'll be changing which players are active because of the games miss list. So if a guy misses 10 games, you'll uncheck him for the next 10 games, and then when he comes back, then you can recheck him and have him. You should have 18 forwards and 12. You should have 18 players, 12 forwards, 6 defensemen for every game. The first thing I do each month that I'm making CMs is I come down to starting goalie schedule at the bottom here. Not only does this show you your schedule, all 15 games this month, but you can set, and you should set, who your starting goalie and backup goalie is. So you click right here, and then a drop-down menu comes, and I can put somebody in as my starting goalie. I can go over here, backup goalie, and select another one. If a goalie allows 4 goals or more in a period, or 6 goals or more in a game, then he gets fatigued, and that means he's more likely to give up goals at that point. So most coaches have it set so if a goalie gets to that point, he automatically gets replaced by the backup. Some people uncheck that and just let the starter get pummeled to save games, but to be more realistic, it's good to have an actual backup goalie every game. It might only happen 5 times a season, if that, where your backup goalie has to come in because of a whole bunch of goals being scored. So I'll show how that works too, but you pick your goalie to start, and then pick your backup one for each game. So you do this for all 15 games. And goalies are determined by games they play. So if your number one goalie starts 40 games this season, and you want to use him as a starting goalie 40 times, then you don't want to put him as the backup goalie ever. Because otherwise, if he comes in one of these fatigue games, then you just lost one of your possible starts for him. So goalies are not games started, they're games played. You don't have to schedule your goalies except for once a month. Once a month, you should fill this out so you know who's starting each game. And that should be in your CMs when you send them out. And that way you won't have to worry about goalies at all. But then you just got to make sure you don't go over with goalies for the season. If they can only play 40 games, then you can't play them more than 40. So when you're done with that screen, you click OK. I went ahead and I generated CMs for every team so people can just change them. You don't have to create them from scratch. So you may see lines here already under the Offensive Lines tab. But you're free to change this around. If you want to change players around, that's fine. This is the offensive lines, so you should have 4 lines, line 1, 2, 3, 4. And in those 4 lines, no player should be in there twice. So you can't have Alex Killorn play on the first line and on the third line. These are your 12 forwards. Each one has to be on a different line. When you get to a line, say you want to change somebody and say, no, I don't want Krejci here. I want to play Bonino here. So then you choose him instead, and then you hit edit. If you hit add, it creates a new line, but you hit edit and it updates the one. But now see how I have Bonino twice. So you can't have one player twice, so then I'd have to put Krejci down here. You can also change your offense and defensive alignment. So my first line right now is set for 2 offense and 2 defense. The higher the offense, the more aggressive you are. The lower the offense, the more conservative you are. So if you're losing, you'd want to be in 3, but if you're trying to protect a lead, you might want to be in 1, and 2 is in the middle. So you can change this to like 3, and defense really means how many forecheckers there are. So I can be an offensive 3 where I'm trying to score more but give up more chances, and I can have 2 forecheckers. So the higher up both of them go, the more aggressive you are, And also then more chances you can give up the other way too, more counterattacks. And if you're more conservative, then you don't get as many scoring chances, but you don't give up as many either. You can also set it to 2-2 if you want, or 2-1. And then you can check these boxes: aggressive when trailing or protect a lead. So what that does is if you are in 2 offense and you fall behind, the computer will move it up to 3 for you. Or if you're leading, then it'll drop it down to 1 for you, since as a human you won't be making the decisions during the game for your road games. So you can change all that, and then you just hit edit, and then it takes effect. So notice now it says 2-1 here when it's a second ago it said 2-2. I can change it back to 2-2. Hit edit, now it's 2-2. 2 lines are set for 3-3, another one's 2-2, but you can change those as you want, however you feel you want to be more aggressive or more conservative. You also need 2 penalty killing lines, 2 shorthanded lines, and 2 power play lines. Penalty kill, you don't have a center, so that says open there. And then you need 2 forwards on each line, and then for power play you need 3 forwards on each line. And then you need to also have a 4-man power play line and a 3-man penalty kill line in case it's like a 4-on-3 situation. And in the 4-man power play, there would be no center. In the 3-man PK, there would be only a center. No wingers. So that's how your offensive line should be. Defensive lines, you just have 3 pairs. And notice these say even strength here. And then there's 2 PKs that are penalty kills and 2 power plays that are power play type. I forgot to mention that on the offensive lines too. Penalty kill, power play, even strength. So that's option you pick when you're on a line. If I go to a line like line 3, then I can change that right there, even strength, or I can make it power play or penalty kill as needed. On the defensive lines, for the power play lines, only the power play lines, you can have some forwards here that play the point. So when you click the box to choose, it's not letting me edit it. Here, let me save this and reopen it. There's supposed to be a drop-down menu for those guys. It's weird, it won't let me change them. Even strength. Oh, it's up here is why. Okay, so they're up here. So here's where you got people you can pick from. And then when you get to the power play ones, when you set this to power play, then guys that say NR not rated, it's possible they could play. So take a guy like Riley Smith. I could use him on the point, but he's only got a 1-star point. So that means he can only play on the 2nd power play line. So I can't put him on my 1st pair, but I could put him on my 2nd pair. Riley Smith, so he can play the point. And then if I edit this, so now I've got Riley Smith on the power play at left defense. So if they have 1-star in their forward positions, you might have noticed during the draft when I would put positions, I'd put like center dash left wings and then the little asterisk. If they have 1 asterisk, they can play the 2nd power play line. If they have 2 asterisks, they can play the 1st power play line. So it's possible you have enough of those guys that you could have all forwards here and no defensemen on the power play. And then under the goalies tab, here's where you don't really need to do much here, because if you set that starting goalie schedule, then this doesn't matter. But if you don't set the starting goalie schedule, then the computer uses this to decide who to start for you. So you could set a overall starting goalie and a backup goalie, and it'll just default to that every time. And then here's where if you click on each goalie, if you check this, remove if fatigued, that way if they give up 4 goals in a period or 6 in a game, then it'll bring the backup in. And then it's all automatically set for each goalie to have that checked, but you could uncheck it if you wanted to. Also, this percentage of games started, that's based on how they actually did for their NHL team, but that doesn't mean anything. As long as you do the starting goalie schedule, then this is meaningless. And then you can also choose for each goalie this little drop-down menu. if you want to pull the goalie, if you're down late in the game, do you never want to pull them? Do you want to pull them when there's 2 action cards left down by 1 goal or 3 action cards down by 2 goals? So you can choose that for each goalie. And then if you do pull your goalie, you can set this to who should come in as the extra attacker. So if you want Alex Killorn to be the first guy off the bench, you just grab him. I'm holding the mouse down and I can just drag him to the top and let him go. So now he's the first guy set, where it's currently alphabetical.